Hi, my name is Dominic, and this is my project on the meat industry and a plant-based diet. I'm making this documentary to take a look at the effects of animal cruelty, human health, and the environment. Drinking milk also means drinking pus. 1 cubic centimeter of cow's milk is allowed to contain up to 750,000 somatic cells, also known as pus. Eating meat means eating poop. The primary source of Salmonella, E. coli, and other foodborne pathogens found in poultry and meat is animal feces. Not so fun fact. Every minute, over 38,000 animals are killed. That's tens of billions of animals that are killed each year just so we can eat them. With all the alternatives we have now, there's no need for this. I'm here with Erin Ireland, and she's going to answer some questions of mine.
Thanks for having me.
When did you go vegan and why?
I went vegan about 5 years ago, and there are so many reasons why I'm vegan, but I'll touch on 2 of them. Number 1, I'm just a huge animal lover, and true animal lovers don't eat animals. And number 2, every single nutrient that humans need to survive and thrive is available in plant form, so it's totally unnecessary to factory farm animals and kill them when we can just get everything we need from plants.
What do you think the biggest benefits are to having a plant-based diet?
Oh my gosh, so many benefits. So the first animal product that I cut out of my diet was dairy, and that was basically because I was struggling with acne at the age of 19, and I also had a chronically stuffy nose. So it was my guess that the dairy was causing it, so I cut that out of my diet, and my acne totally cleared up, and my stuffiness went away. So health issues, I mean, a plant-based diet is not only proven to prevent chronic disease, it can actually reverse it. So that is amazing. I would choose a plant-based diet over pills any day of the week. And also, animal agriculture is the leading contributor to so many environmental problems. So by choosing a plant-based diet, you're significantly reducing your impact on the climate.
Do you think a plant-based diet is the way of the future? If so, why?
I absolutely do. There has been a recent report that says we have about 11 years to reduce our emissions to the point where that will help the climate. So those news headlines are just becoming more and more talked about, and every day we're seeing such major headlines of big companies transitioning to plant-based foods, even the meat companies investing in plant-based companies. More and more celebrities and pro athletes and just people in general are going vegan, so I feel like there's a lot of momentum right now, and it's absolutely the way to the future.
What advice would you give to someone if they wanted to try switching to a plant-based diet?
I would say figure out your why. Know why you're doing it. I think if you're motivated, it makes anything so much easier. So watch some documentaries about the environment, about the health, about animals, whichever you're most focused on or whatever you care about the most. I think that you should focus in that direction. So for example, if you're into sports, you could watch some documentaries, sports related documentaries. There's one coming out called Game Changers. It's going to be amazing, but it looks at how so many top pro athletes in the world are changing to a plant-based diet because it actually improves their performance. So my husband always loves to tell his friends that Tom Brady, the most famous football player in the world, is mainly plant-based. I would also recommend, it doesn't have to be overnight. My transition was gradual, and that worked for me. But if you go cold tofu and do it overnight, that's amazing too. But just make sure that you're armed with some good cookbooks and some good recipe blogs. As for cooking, I think that you don't have to completely reinvent your cooking repertoire. You can stick to your favorite meals that you've always cooked for your family. And you can just swap out the animal products. There are so many amazing plant-based alternatives to animal products these days. There's dairy-free sour cream and butters, and there's even, vegan chicken. So you can stick with those same dishes, but just get the vegan alternative.
On factory farms, cows are unable to be with their families, stretch, or eat grass under the sun. They're fed corn to make them fat. This means they will have stomach aches and gas. For a dairy cow to produce milk, she must become pregnant. Cow milk is for baby cows, just like breast milk is for baby humans. Would you drink breast milk from a rat or a dog? Then why is it any different to drink the breast milk from a cow? The dairy industry probably doesn't want you to think too hard on that. After the mother had their baby, the baby is taken away so that the humans can use the milk. The babies are kept in these tiny crates so they cannot move. These are veal crates. They are then killed and served as veal, which is baby cows. Even free-range organic chickens are packed together so tight they can barely move. The chickens are debeaked when they're babies. That means they use a hot blade to cut off the tip of their beak without any pain relief. When baby chicks are born in the egg industry, they have no use for the boys because they don't lay eggs. All these baby boys are either ground up alive or being put into a garbage bag to die in a dumpster. Pigs are very intelligent and caring animals. They are smarter than most dogs. In the meat industry, they are kept in cages so small that they can't turn around or stand up. Animal abuse in the pig meat industry happens every day. I went to the A&W head office to speak with them about their launch of the Beyond Meat and how they were incorporating new vegan options to their menu. The people at A&W hooked me up with a bunch of cool swag, including some gift cards. How has the response been to its launch, the Beyond Meat Burger?
Yeah, so we've been really excited about the launch. We've had a lot of repeat guests come into our restaurant to try it. So we've seen lots of our existing guests, so people who already were coming to A&W. It's another reason for them to come. But we've also seen lots of new people that some people who are vegan or vegetarian and might not have been able to eat at a fast food restaurant before. They get to come and enjoy a burger for the first time.
I've noticed the signage and videos promoting the Beyond Meat. Have you invested a lot of your advertising budget into the new plant-based alternatives? If so, what was the thought behind that decision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. We have done a lot of advertising, and there's been lots of different communication materials out for Beyond Meat. And a lot of that is just around how new this product was. So we were the first kind of restaurant chain to bring the Beyond Meat Burger to Canada. So part of the job we had to do was just raise awareness. We had to get Canadians across the country just kind of educated about what is Beyond Meat and what's a plant-based burger and why should I want to try it. So it was kind of a big launch for us, and we wanted to make sure we had lots of different advertising and communications out so people could learn about the product and be kind of encouraged to come in and try it for themselves.
I noticed that You Won't Believe It's Made from Plants ad on YouTube. Are these ads directed towards people who eat meat to try to get them to consider a new option, or what was the thought process behind those ads?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those ads, we actually went to a barbecue festival in London, Ontario, so kind of across the country. It's actually where I'm from, so it's quite exciting to go there and film. So we went to this festival where we knew there'd be a lot of people that actually, like you said, eat meat and love burgers and enjoy eating meat. And we were actually really excited because we went and we had all these people try the new burger, but we didn't tell them it was plant-based. We just kind of invited them over and said, we have this new burger, do you want to try it? They tried it, they all really liked it, and then we got to surprise them and say, that burger you're eating, it's made from plants. And that was really cool because most people, they couldn't tell, they thought it was meat, they thought it tasted like meat. So it was really fun for us to get to surprise people, and we think people watching on TV or YouTube would have fun as well, seeing people have that reaction. It kind of makes you want to go and try it for yourself.
With the new plant-based products, you may be appealing to a whole new type of customer. Has A&W seen an increase in sales profit since launching the Beyond products?
Yeah, so it's another good question. So when we launched the product, that was last summer, and we call them quarters. So that quarter for our business results was one of our strongest quarters in kind of the last recent while. So that was really exciting for us. I think it shows that lots of Canadians were excited about the Beyond Meat burger. Lots of them came into the restaurant to try it. So we were really happy that we kind of saw some good sales as well and good guest counts.
Thank you so much for meeting me and answering all my questions.
You're very welcome. It's nice to meet you.
Farmed animals use more than half the water consumed in North America. If we grew vegetables instead of raising cows for meat, we could save the planet. The food and water we'd save could feed hungry people all over the planet. You save more water by not eating a pound of beef than you do for not showering for 6 months. If every American skipped one meal of chicken per week, the carbon dioxide savings would be the same as taking more than 500,000 cars off the road. It takes up to 16 pounds of grain to produce just 1 pound of animal flesh. That same 16 pounds of grain feeds up to 10 people per day instead of just 1 pound of animal flesh. That's a great place to start to eliminate world hunger. I also got the opportunity to visit the pig sanctuary. Do you think the meat industry and factory farming contributes to animal abuse? Why do you think society tolerates it just so that some companies can make more of a profit?
I think that it does contribute to animal abuse. I think when a company puts profit before lives, then those lives are going to pay the price on that. And I think that people tolerate it for the most part because those companies spend a lot of money to make it look like they're not abusing animals. When you look at the happy cows on the milk cartons and you look at the happy pigs on the bacon packages, those companies spend a lot of money to make sure that people don't realize just how much the animals actually are suffering.
How can kids or people help to get involved?
Oh, well, the first thing that they could do is come visit a sanctuary. Come and meet the animals and see that they love to be cuddled, they love to get their bellies rubbed, that they wag their tails just like dogs. And that's the first thing we can do is realize that these are actually animals who deserve to live in happiness and without pain or fear. The next thing we can do is talk to people. Let them know, hey, this is what I've learned. And I think it's great that this is what you're doing.
Thank you so much for meeting me and showing me all your pigs and the animals you have.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Dominic. Thank you. And thank you for doing this amazing video and helping us spread the word.
If we treated dogs the same way as we treated pigs, by keeping them in cages so small that they can't move, making them live a life full of abuse before they're killed for meat, people would not stand for that. Companies in the meat industry spend a lot of money on marketing to give people a false idea on where their food actually comes from. Here's an example. Just last week, a pig farm was in the news. This is the sign outside of Excelsior Hog Farm. It shows a happy pig being cuddled in a big open field. But in reality, this is what the pigs look like on Excelsior Farm. These pigs are not kept in green fields. Baby pigs are left to die because their mother can't help them, because she is kept in a cage so small she cannot even move. How did you get involved with PETA?
I started working with an organization that had a partnership with PETA here in Canada. And through working with them for about 7 years in that capacity, I was invited by their executive vice president to come on board and work with them on a full-time basis. The brilliant part of working with them is that I get to hear about all the victories and all of the wins and all of the successes in addition to hearing about the cruelty. Now, there are lots of victories and wins that we get to share with everybody, but the truth of the matter is there's a lot of companies who are doing things to animals, and PETA goes and speaks with them and negotiates with them and gets them to end several types of cruelties. And the company doesn't want that broadcast, even when it's considered a victory, but they don't want it out in the open because they don't want people to know that they were doing anything that involved hurting animals in the first place. So as much as we're able to share with the public, there's a whole bunch of information that we don't share, but I get to see these long lists of victories and wins that happen. And so it's actually, from an emotional standpoint, I get a lot of joy out of it because I get to see the progress happening on a daily basis.
Do you think a plant-based diet is the way to the future? If so, why?
I think without question, it's the way of the future. Again, why? There's so many reasons for why. First of all, we need to cut out cruelty. People are compassionate at heart. People are kind. I believe people are kind and compassionate. And so the eating of animals just doesn't align with that. But also, we can't carry on at this rate of animal agriculture and think that we're going to have any kind of planet left.
What is the question you get asked most often?
As a vegan, the question I get asked most often is, where do I get my protein? And the answer that I always tell people is that I get my protein the same place that the animal that was slaughtered got their protein. Because like us, animals don't make protein, they have to eat it. So we have actually fed them protein before we've sent them off to slaughter via all of the plants, the grains, the corn, the plants that we have fed them puts protein in their muscle so that when we slaughter them and we eat their muscle, we don't, you and I don't, but the people who still do, that's where they then get their protein source. I like taking the middleman out of there, being the animal, being the sentient being, and I get my protein from exactly the same place the animal got it before they were killed.
Meat and dairy consumption is linked to diabetes. Vegans have a lower risk of heart disease, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, lower rates of type 2 diabetes, and lower overall cancer rates. Studies have shown that vegans on average live 6 to 10 years longer than people who eat meat and dairy. Next, I get to interview Jeremy, the owner of the vegan restaurant Beautiful. When did you open Beautiful and what made you want to open a plant-based restaurant?
I opened Beautiful in 2010 and I really wanted to open a plant-based restaurant because there wasn't anything like it in the area. And I really wanted people to have an experience where they could feel connected to food and health and their community.
Since you opened, have you seen an increase in people wanting plant-based foods?
I have. It's definitely increased a lot over the last 9 years. And I really think it's due to the popularity and education around plant-based eating and how it's not only healthy, but good for the environment.
What do you think the biggest benefits are for choosing a plant-based diet?
I think the benefits overall are definitely for health. We know the environment, especially for animal agriculture. So if you are into the environment and want to protect our planet, I think that's a major benefit. And I think on an emotional level, I think it feels really good to be compassionate towards not just humans, but all the other beings on the planet.
Personally, as a vegan, I find it frustrating on the days where there's no vegan options for hot lunch. As a part of my project, I wanted to make this change. How can we expect the students at our school to make the right choice for the animals, their health, and the environment if we aren't even giving them the option? I've taken a look at all the vendors at Brockton that supply the hot lunch. Half of them are already doing a great job by adding a vegan option, but the other half are not. I'm going to reach out to those vendors to see if this can be changed. I've already reached out to Fresh Slice, who supplies our school for Pizza Day. They have said they would not be able to add a vegan option to continue serving our school because they're a franchise and can only use franchise products. I'm going to reach out to Panago Pizza, who does offer a vegan option, to see if they are able to supply Brockton for their Pizza Day. I'm hoping this school will understand why I want to make a change and support me on it. I think it's important that on hot lunch days there is something for everyone and no one gets left out. I'll try my best, wish me luck. I went to check out Veg Expo to see all the new plant-based alternatives. Why is there different laws for different animals? For example, if pigs are as smart as dogs, why are we allowed to hurt pigs but not dogs under the law?
That's a really, really good question. And the short answer is that because unfortunately, laws see pets differently than farmed animals like cows and pigs. Because people eat cows and pigs, the laws are dealt with in a way that allow the abuse of animals, farmed animals, but it doesn't allow the abuse of pets.
Are there laws that protect animals in factory farms? If so, are there enough, and how are the farms monitored for compliance?
Unfortunately, there are no laws that protect farmed animals at all. The only law that is out there that can potentially protect farmed animals is a cruelty legislation. So if the SPCA finds that there is cruelty, then they recommend charges, and then that could be brought to court under cruelty laws. But really, that is the only way that farmed animals are somewhat protected. The only thing that exists now, they're called codes of practice, and they're basically guidelines that tell farmers how they should treat their animals, but it's not law, so they don't have to follow the guidelines, but they're recommended that they do. And then for enforcement, your question about enforcement, well, that's a really good question, because if the farmers don't follow these guidelines, there aren't any enforcement measures. So it's not like, oh, farmer, you're not following that guideline, so now you will be fined, or now you go to jail. It doesn't work like that. There aren't any enforcement measures legally that can be taken if a farmer does not follow the guidelines.
When looking at the future of food, one thing that is really exciting is what the company Impossible Foods is doing by making meat from plants. Heme is a molecule that gives your blood its red color and the ability to carry oxygen. Heme is very abundant in animal muscle, and it is responsible for many of the flavors, aromas, and cooking properties associated with meat. When someone is craving meat, they are really craving heme, and the iron and protein it represents in its diet. Impossible Foods is now creating heme from the DNA of plants. The heme molecule in plants is identical to the heme molecule found in meat. It's exciting for the future of food because people eat meat despite the fact that it comes from animals, not because it comes from animals. So now, Impossible Foods can create a burger that tastes just like meat, but it uses 87% less water, 89% less emissions, and 96% less land than regular beef. Another thing that shows the direction we are going with the future of food is that the Canadian Food Guide has recently removed dairy as a food group and puts an emphasis on water as a drink of the choice. It also states, choose protein foods that come from plants more often. We have a long way to go, but I think we're moving in the right direction. For the action plan portion of my project, we gave out Beyond Meat burgers. Beyond Meat company just went public this week and is now a $4 billion company. The alternative meat industry is now worth $40 billion. Educate yourself on the topic, watch some documentaries, or read some articles online. Stop eating meat. The meat industry runs on supply and demand. We are the demand. Make small changes. You don't need to become vegan all at once. Start with Meatless Monday. Donate. You can donate to charities that help animals. Speak out as a consumer. If you want to see changes at stores or restaurants, let them know. I hope you learned how a plant-based diet can help animals and the planet. Educate yourself so you can make a change. Be part of the revolution and the future of food. Hot lunch.
The one what your petting farted. It's red.
And so did strawberry. Aren't you a good girl? Aren't you a good girl? I love you, Bijou. I love you. You're such a good girl. Ooh, 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 ooh.